So this is exactly how you can know if you're on the right path. So I've been on self-improvement for the better part of around 4 or 5 years. I started reading when I was 16, the habits, like journaling, exercise, eating healthy. And I've learned quite a few things on my path. And one of those things is I've eventually gotten to a point where I love doing the things that were good for me. At first, it takes discipline to get yourself to read the books, to get yourself to journal and do those good habits, And you're going to have that time where you push yourself again and again. But here's something to understand. But you're going to eventually reach a point where you begin to like the things that are also good for you, and that is the sweet spot. So how do you know if you're on the right path? You begin to start liking the things that are good for you and disliking the things that are bad for you. All of the instant gratification, fast things, you start to feel bad and guilty when doing them. If you're a person who does something and then you feel guilty because you've wasted your time, you wasted your energy doing that thing, you're kind of shameful that you did that thing because you could have done something better. That is a very, very good sign that you are on the right path. Because I think it is very crucial that you understand that liking what is good for you is going to take you way further than, pushing yourself and discipline, the struggle, the grind. The man who enjoys walking will always walk further than the man who enjoys the destination. So by enjoying the process, by falling in love with the things that you do every single day, the self-improvement, the good habits, the eating healthy, the exercise, the calisthenics, the gym, and falling in love with all of these things that are just going to propel your life forward like nothing you could have ever imagined. When you love these things, that is when your life changes. That is the sweet spot of self-improvement. It is when you just wake up and you feel hopeful and inspired because you get the opportunity to do the things that are good for you. That is, in my humble opinion, the best feeling that you can ever possibly feel. So on the path to greatness, you're going to have a time where things get very, very tough, very, very hard, very, very lonely. And then all of a sudden, you have the explosion of results, In a second, things turn. It's like the overnight success that you experience is the buildup of potential energy that has been built throughout years and years of struggle and anguish and energy and time that you've invested into yourself. And eventually the graph that goes like this eventually explodes and you get the results. I think it is like that most of the time for most of the journey, actually. It's like struggle, 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 then a little bit of success, struggle, 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 just a tiny bit of success just to show you that what you're doing is going to work. But you just got to keep going, keep pushing. And eventually, the tough times don't last forever. The pain doesn't last forever. So remain on your path, even when it doesn't always seem like it's working. It doesn't always seem perfect. You got to just continue and stay on that path because this is your path and this is the thing that's going to improve your life and make you a man of character or a person of character. So how do you actually know if you're on the right path? There's a few signs here. So sign number 1, you begin to like everything that's good for you, everything that enhances your growth. And you also begin to dislike the things that waste your time, the things that waste your energy and are not good for you. So sign number 2, you begin feeling guilty when you do the wrong things, when you spend your time in the wrong way. So sign number 3, you just can't get a break. When you just can't get a break and you're just going through tough time after tough time after tough time, the success is not there yet. The results are not there yet. That is a very good sign you're on the right path because what tends to happen is before your new life can come to place, your old life has to be very brutally destroyed, broken down, and everything has to go wrong before it can go right, before everything can go right. So I truly believe in the law of opposites where no matter what happens, it is going to be balanced out by something else in the future. So let's say you had a very tough childhood, a very tough, you've had these spiritual wars, spiritual mental battles that you fought from a young age. You're eventually going to be very wise in the future because it balances itself out. All the tough experiences have good endings. So it is by understanding this rule of opposites where a person who is initially very anxious can eventually, with the right work and the right framework of mind, can develop amazing confidence. A person who has very terrible discipline, if he works on himself enough, if he creates the right mental environment, he can eventually, after some years of practice, be the exact complete opposite. He can be very productive, very disciplined. So I think every single thing, good or bad, has its opposite. A quote from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This quote is amazing. If you haven't read the book, I would 100% recommend. So I'm going to read some of the most amazing quotes from the most amazing book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Quote number 1, if you do not see great riches in your imagination, you will never see them in your bank balance. Quote number 2, every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. Quote number 3, there is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants and the burning desire to possess it. Quote number 4, the starting point of all achievement is desire. Quote number 5, riches do not respond to wishes, they respond to definite plans backed by definite desires through constant persistence. Quote number 6, more gold has been mined from the brains of men than has ever been taken from the earth. Quote number 7, there are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Quote number 8, you are the master of your own earthly destiny. You may influence, direct, and eventually control your own environment, making your life what you want it to be. So quote number 9, the way of success is the way of continuous pursuit of knowledge. Quote number 10, fear, the worst of all enemies, can be effectively cured by forced repetition of acts of courage. Quote number 11, faith is the only known antidote for failure. Quote number 11, both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought. Last and final quote, tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. So these are a couple of quotes from Napoleon Hill. I hope they could inspire you. So that's something you got to understand. The righteous path is not an easy path. It is a path filled with difficulty, filled with obstacles, with trials, with tribulations. But here's something to realize. God does indeed give his strongest battles to his toughest warriors. So if you are going through tough times of anguish and fear and confusion, stick through, because these are signs that you are on the right path. So just in general, when you just develop this hopeful and inspiring sense of life about you, when you wake up, I've gotten to this point where I wake up and I just love and I look forward to doing what I'm going to do. Look forward to making videos, look forward to reading the new books, journaling, exercising, eating that healthy meal, just being alive, journaling and doing all these things, making my coffee. It's just an amazing feeling. And I can't describe how amazing this feeling is, because it's just beyond anything that you can ever experience. It is the greatest feeling of all. So I was watching a podcast some time ago from Dr. Andrew Huberman, and he said this one thing that really stuck to me. So happiness is the expansion of everything that brings you pleasure, and addiction is the narrowing of everything that brings you pleasure. So the more things you can actually derive pleasure from, the happier you are. And this does actually make sense. When you can derive happiness from, the small coffee in the morning, the journaling, the reading, these small tiny habits, the small drive to work, the small drive back from work. I think that is when you're happy. That is when you can be in this most grateful state. And it is in addiction when you just you're hyper-focused on that one pleasure and you forget everything else. And you're only actually in this state of happiness when you're doing that pleasure, but you can't do it the whole time, the whole day. So this is the path to freedom, to mental freedom, to greatness. And I do believe if you have good intentions and if you stick with this path for long enough, you will see results. You will see everything great that you ever wanted. So that is it for this video. I'm Dan. I make videos like these multiple times a week. If you like these videos, then subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. The world is yours. You got this, bro.